My fiance stood me up at the altar and ran outside crying because she got cold feet. Now she's miserable, and her father can't move on from me. I was orphaned around 6 years ago after a horrific car accident where my whole family was unalived. At that time, I was in a 2-month relationship with my now ex-fiancée, and she stood with me more than anyone else did, and her whole family took me in as one of their own. Still, especially her father, he treated me just as he did his 2 sons, if not even better, and I loved him and still love him as a dad, and I've been working with him for over 2 years now because he's a lawyer. I'm studying law, and over here, you have to work in a law firm to get experience to graduate, and you usually don't get paid for it, but he pays me minimum wage, which is way more than he has too, and I love him for that. Living alone for that long, however, was lonely. Even though I had a loving second family, I wanted marriage for her to move in with me and not be alone anymore, and when I proposed last year, she happily accepted, and we kissed, and her family was so happy for both of us, and then our supposed wedding came in this past June, and in front of our whole family and friends she said no and ran outside crying, and I just stood there feeling like this was all just a dream, but no, it was reality. She destroyed me that day. Her parents went after her as I stood there seeing all those people whispering and looking at me, and I just snapped. I went home and threw all her stuff away that was already there and then went straight to the airport to go to our honeymoon alone because it was expensive as hell. Most of the trip was non-refundable, and I had already lost much money in the failed marriage. Her family kept trying to contact me over the next 2 weeks, but I deactivated all my socials. Even after I returned home, I couldn't bring myself to see any of them, so I avoided work. I live in a small village where everyone knows everyone, and everyone here talks. Ever since that day, people made me this evil bastard who forced this innocent little girl into marrying, but she heroically saved herself, which is all bullshit. I never even raised my voice over her. Life then went on, and I found another lawyer to do my internship with. He was nowhere near as good as my ex-fiancé's dad, but it wasn't that bad. They stopped trying to reach out to me, and people stopped talking about the whole thing. It felt like it was just moving on when suddenly, around 2 weeks ago, I was chilling at home alone at night. Her dad came over. I, of course, welcomed him in and offered coffee, and he accepted. Before we could talk, he started apologizing for his daughter, saying she got cold feet at the last second and refused and that he wasn't proud of her and wasn't happy about the whole situation. I told him it was none of his fault and that I'm sorry for ghosting him, but it just was painful to be around him, especially since she looks so much like him even though I still love him. He asked me whether I would like to come back and work with him even if I just wanted our relationship to be a working relationship because he loves me like a son and doesn't want to lose that, and I told him I'd think about it. Update 1 day later, I decided to talk to him, and I did. We went out to a local coffee shop and talked. I told him I'd love to work with him again but with only one condition, not to mention his daughter and what she's doing with her life and to please not invite me to events she'll be present at, and he accepted. He told me that he was embarrassed and ashamed after the wedding, that he's sad and disappointed it didn't work out between us, and that he understands why I don't want to hear about her. Then he asked how I was doing and where I'd celebrate the new year. I told him I'd do it alone at home, the first time I ever did it, because I had always celebrated with them for the last 5 years. He was sad and said he'd have loved celebrating with me as his son-in-law. I told him to say happy holidays to the whole family, except her, and then we left. Update 2, earlier today, her dad talked to me and asked if he could come over, and I accepted, and he came over with a gift basket full of chocolate, which I quite liked. He told me that he just wanted to let me know that there was a second guy that my ex was seeing at the time, which is why she said no and left me, and that he was so ashamed to tell me that and so embarrassed in his daughter that he said she got cold feet. I told him that I had suspected so and that it wasn't his fault. I asked him whether or not he had heard what was being said about me after the wedding in the village. He said that people were also talking about his daughter and that she was a biatch for doing that. I asked whether he could stop and deny those rumors that I was abusive, and he promised he'd help me and deny them. I also asked whether he could recompense me with some of the money I lost at the wedding because I need serious therapy, and it's really expensive over here. I put almost all my money into the wedding, honeymoon, and our house, and he agreed to give me half of the wedding costs, which would be more than enough for me. I thanked him for that. He also said that the guy his daughter left me for has already broken up with her, and she regrets leaving me for him. He understood why I didn't want to return to her and promised that it wouldn't affect my internship with him. I'm returning to work with him next Sunday, which I'm thankful for because I hate staying home.